Hello, everyone. So, we're here to do the recap of the finale, the final episode, episode 10. Kyler will join us shortly. So, Kathy and I are here. Wow, we have 119 logged in. Oh, my goodness. I have to tell you that the fan page was like going crazy. I did a little live chat and then people could comment under it, and it went like that constantly for like 3-4 hours. People just talking to each other and saying all kinds of cool stuff and putting your theories in. It was fun. How are you, Miss Kathy?
I'm doing fine. It was what would I call it, a gamut of emotions last night.
Oh
I
my
was
gosh, I
going
know.
high and low and high and low. And, I ended up feeling very positive about everything on the show, even though there were parts that were like driving me nuts. And it's like, that's it. They've
Right.
gone too far. But I I'm feeling very positive and looking forward to season two.
I know, so am I. So just to clear up some things, as far as we know, when we had David on before, he had said last year they started to film. It was at the very, very end of July, early August. And that made them go longer into December, which kind of sounds like sort of the same schedule that they have for When Calls the Heart. But When Calls the Heart starts in July and ends in like the second week of November. And according to David, and this makes sense, he said because of the weather, they're probably going to start earlier. So I was thinking after ADR and at the best, we would have it like in the next year, like at the around January or the beginning of the year, but late beginning of the year. And then we saw something that Hallmark had posted, and they said that it I think it said something like the end
February.
of, no, it did say February. I thought it said end of January. All right,
The
hold
one
on.
I saw, I think said February of
The
'04.
one that was by
'04,
Hallmark? I forget
24.
exactly how they worded it, but it makes me think it is about that time frame. So, yeah, and of course, we'll be following along any little tiny behind the scenes stuff they show us. We're going to keep the page alive. We've got some things that we want to do. We had like this mix up for next week. So Canada did not get the episode yet, the final episode. That's hence why we have the spoiler alerts up all the time. But we're going to do a little recap for them. And I'm working on JJ and the Pillars. They are a band that performs in the last episode, and they have a specific song that they made just for The Way Home. And they are, I believe, based out of Vancouver. And I'm hoping they'll come on. And who else? Maybe we could get Sadie. Maybe she'll come on this time. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe we get Finn the dog one day. That would be fun. We can even do that later on after all of this is, done, and we have things that we can talk about now. There's no spoilers. So we have stuff that's coming up. And the hiccup was I posted that we would have a recap on Monday, next Monday, right, Kathy?
Yep.
Because in my mind, on the W, the show aired on Sundays. And then someone told me, no, it aired Monday. But then our friend Linda, who was our guest once, she said, no, it really does air. It comes on Wednesdays. So having a recap on Monday makes sense. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. So I corrected the date again. It went back and forth, but it has been corrected, and all that stuff you can find at the top in featured. So, Kathy, let's just chat about some stuff before we get into what Kyler's, when she pops in, and we also have Krystle popping in too. So this is going to be fun. What do we want to talk about first?
I think we're probably going to end up jumping around because my
We are
mind has not wrapped around chronological order.
not in
And
that.
yeah,
No.
they blew my mind. They solved a lot of mysteries, or a few mysteries. And
Yes.
just random order, one of the things that took me by total surprise, even as I'm watching it, is the scene where Alice stubbornly, despite, Elliot telling her there's no record, you never went back. She decides she's going back into the pond. And sure enough, the pond did not take her back to 2000. It took her back to just a few days before episode 1 started. And so she's eavesdropping on Rita and Dell talking about the letter. And even right up until the last minute, I was convinced that Dell walks out of the room, Rita's going to turn around and grab the letter and mail it. And it turned out to be Alice, which really took me by surprise. Did you see that coming?
No, I didn't. I don't. I I always thought that it would be. Well, Elliot flat out said he didn't do it, and he would have remembered if he had done it. I mean, well, it wasn't done in the past anyway. He said he didn't do it, and I believed it. And I also believed that Rita didn't do it, but I wasn't sure who did. And I didn't even think of her going, any of them going back into the past, but only to a certain, like they didn't, like you said, they didn't go all the way back to 1999. I was so used to that. But then again, we are always told that it takes you where you need to go, the pond.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I wasn't surprised, but I was surprised. Do you know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
made a lot of sense to me. I never thought it was Rita, and I never thought it was Elliot. I didn't know who it was, but I felt like there was going to be some significant story about it because it's an again and again. It kept coming up over and over and over and over. So I liked it because it was part of the theme of that whole them healing each other, being there for each other and healing each other. And they were there for each other so many different times. And I like that. And because you saw a character arc for Alice, you saw how she was miserable and mean and blamed her mom in the beginning. And at the end, she was her main support. Like she was so fiercely devoted to her, you know? Yeah.
Yep.
I love that.
I thought the funeral was just so sad. You know, I'm not cutting onions, you're cutting onions. But as I mentioned earlier to you, Roxanne, as Dell is sitting there like looking at Kat and not knowing who she is, and she's like, I was like, okay, why can't you just walk over to her and say, I'm Colton, I was Colton's wife? You know, how did you know him? Come on over. And, you know, it just seemed like that seemed a little artificial. Dell was not a shrinking violet. So that kind of surprised me that she didn't just go over and say, who are you? And I know adult Kat had introduced herself, I think it was Jacob, in an earlier episode as Alice's mother. So it's like, why don't you just bring her over and say, I brought my mom with me to attend the service? That just seemed a little artificial.
Like odd. Yeah, I agree. Okay. I get it. And I think that would have been good. And I don't think it would have destroyed the storyline in any way. So I think that's just something that maybe, you know, the script writers could have done differently, but you know, whatever. The script is just still amazing. There's nothing like it on Hallmark. Even if it wasn't on Hallmark, if they plopped it on CBS, ABC, I don't know, wherever, Paramount, whatever it is, it's exceptional. I mean, it really, truly, I didn't know. I saw little things along the way, but I was not quite sure how it would all be pieced together. And I love that. I love being challenged with the storyline. I put Kay's comment up here because it was something I had wanted to talk about. And again, you know, usually we sort of have this systematic unfolding of how we recap stuff. We're going to be everywhere because I felt like it was everywhere, our emotions especially. Kay says, in 1999, Alice spoiled Elliot's present by telling him his future. He always knew where he would end up. Everything was set in stone before he could do anything about it. Here's the thing. That's just life. That does not, to me, that makes no sense. Where he was all disappointed and he himself knows no matter what you do, you can't change it. So it just was going to happen anyway. He just knew about it. No matter what he did, even how could it so I don't think it was spoiled. I don't get that.
No, okay. Here's my feeling about this whole thing. Elliot's full of beans.
You got a good listen to me. You got a good theory with this. I love this theory.
If you notice, Elliot was looking through his notebook and he told Alice and maybe Kat, but you know, this was your last visit. This was the last time you came to the past. But if you'll notice, there was a whole bunch of stuff written even after that. He put the little check mark, like, okay, this is the last one. There was still stuff in there. I don't believe for one skinny minute that he meant a word he said to Kat. I believe that there's something that he knows that he wants to protect Kat from. It's either there's some intervention he's going to do to try to turn things around, or he knows if they do a certain thing, things are going to go kablooey. But he did not mean it. Can't convince me until season 2 rolls around and, they do something to convince me otherwise. No, that wasn't real at all. He did that for her sake. You don't live more than half his life since he's been a teenager, totally in love with her, and then just stop it. And there were scenes with him and Brady that were also just broadcasting stuff. Everything Brady said. Well, I knew you were in love with her. I know you're the one she turns to whenever there's trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And Elliot's trying very hard to keep a poker face, and
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of signaling, that he's got something on his mind. But no, I don't. I was initially, Elliot, I want to smack you, dude.
I know.
But then I thought about it. It's like, nah, this isn't real.
So if anybody sees me looking this way, I'm listening to everything Kathy says. I'm just trying to see if I get an email or a notification. So you said something and it made me think of something else that I wanted to share. Oh, I really wonder if since Kat goes back into 1814, right? I'm wondering if Elliot's past is back there, because we fight, like, I'm not saying it's so much Elliot as it. I wonder if we'll get some of his generations, because Dell just so conveniently says, oh, his family, his father was away. If he was a fisherman, he was away so much. That's why he spent so much time here. She kind of slipped it in. And I love it because that made sense to me, because when we were inside Elliot's house, it still had a lot of fisherman stuff all over. Remember, even the fish, the lamp post had a fish. I'm like, there's a lot of nautical stuff in here.
Mm-hmm.
And again, she made sure she reminded us how much he loved the ocean, her husband, Colton. So maybe those generations have a history. I mean, those two families have some kind of history in the past.
Did you ever watch Dark Shadows?
Yes.
It was so camp. And so far, The Way Home has stayed away from camp.
Right.
I could live with camp a little bit under certain circumstances, but they would do the whole time thing where they went back or they would show in a much earlier era. And all the current characters, the actors playing the current characters, played their counterparts from, a few centuries ago. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering if they're going to end up doing something like that.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm just so excited about the script. I cannot figure it out either, just like I couldn't figure out this, but I'm excited about the costumes, because I had contacted the costume department and maybe they'll be able to come on after the fact. And I thought, what, they were not wearing current clothes in that very beginning. You could see the men running with the torches and whatnot. And I was like, I wonder if we're going to get more of this and we're going to see more of that costuming. And just to put it in perspective, I had said this before. I know a lot of people watch Bridgerton or read the books, but they watch the show. And that's like 1814. So, of course, it's in England and it's the time. They're very, wealthy and they're dressed differently. But that is the time frame. So when we're over here in Canada, and what is it, New Haven, or is that what it's called? And she's running through Port Haven. She's running with her gown on, and there were people coming after her. Those are the costumes that in that time and era we're going to be looking at. And I'm like, oh, well, that's different. Hallmark's going to have to slip some of that in there, and I mean, that's kind of cool.
Maybe just narrowly. With Kat and whoever the extras are, they have playing the townspeople, and perhaps Jacob, because she did say, Jacob, I'll come back for you. So
I will rescue
Jacob ended up. I could see them putting a leash on Finn. I nearly called him Flynn, putting a leash on him and jumping in the pond with him. So Finn has to take them, or take Kat wherever he's emerging from the pond.
People were asking about, and we had people on the fan page. If you're not on it, you should hop on it. We had people on the fan page take a close up of the actual journal, and they did a great job. The only thing just a sidebar, when you are borrowing, and I know some people try to argue with me, other fan pages don't do it. It's okay. And it's not. And I absolutely know it's not, because I know what copyright law is. I talk about this, and I talked to Hallmark about it, and they're like, no, 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 we can't steal. No, no, no. When it comes to the photos, though, you have to put photo credit, your source. The source is not Google. The source is not Pinterest. It's Hallmark Crown Media, whoever the photographer is, whatever. But anyway, there are people who captured it off of their TV, did a fabulous job of it. We could zero in and cleaned it all up, and we were able to see. And this is something that Mare is mentioning. She said the stuff written after in his journal was a detailed description of Alice's last visit, and the next page was blank. It was the last thing he knows about. This is true. I think in this present state, it is the last thing he knows about. But what if he is from the 1814s and he does, because Alice didn't know that she could time travel until she did in 2020 through 2, 3. And the same with Kat.
And,
She didn't know.
and
So
Alice had no clue that she's the one who sent the letter
right.
until she went back and experienced it.
So there's the possibility that he doesn't know either until it happens and she goes back to talk to him. You know what I mean? I mean, something like that has to happen, because there's somebody that has to see her coming out of that pond and going back in that pond in 1814, hence why they call her the White Witch. People keep thinking she's a witch, a real witch. There's nothing about witchcraft in this show. That's just, what people would think. Even back in the day in 1814, if a woman knew about something different about bloodletting or something and could heal people, she was a witch. You know how they'd have all that back in the 1700s even. Right. So I think, and remember what Jacob said when he first met Allie? He said to her, the White Witch takes children.
Yep.
Because she did. Yep. She did take to help and protect, not to hurt. Yep. So all kind of pretty much telling. Someone was asking this question. Hey, did they say who bought the Roxy? They didn't. Nope, wasn't mentioned.
Did they say it was a woman though?
No, I no, they didn't say anything. I thought it would be cool if people were saying if it were Monica, and I thought that would be cool. That might be why they had Spencer helping out and whatnot. And I don't know. I also think it would be cool to have Monica be mayor of the town. I think that would be cool to explore.
I don't think she'll settle for anything less.
I know. She's very ambitious. And I said in my live, I can't wait to meet Spilsky. I want to meet him. I want to meet her husband. I want to see him back in the day, and I want to see him in present time. I think there's just so much to explore.
There's some interesting theories about Byron.
Yes. Yeah, we'll have to jump on that. Christina's saying Elliot is just taking time for himself, because I think he knows she will be gone for a while trying to get Jacob back. He knows. Like it's so he's that's what he said to her. Can we remember he got angry in the episode before, and he's like, we have to keep living in the past. Like, why can't we live in the future?
I think he's worried about her though. It's not that he doesn't want her to time travel. I think he's worried about what will happen.
He does, and her mindset and his own. He wants to move forward. And I'm thinking you are going to move forward, and you get to move forward with Kat, and that's why.
But they're going to have to move backwards first. He's going to have to help her somehow in whatever she's about to get herself into.
And listen, he has those feelings for her practically we're going to say his whole life, because maybe when he's 5, he didn't recognize how he was feeling, but maybe not until he got to be 12, 13, 14, then he recognized it. So he has loved her his whole life, basically, right? So when you love, and I know what that's like, when you love someone your whole life, just because you're not together, if you see them hurting or something happening to them, you can't avoid that. You know what I mean? You can't just, I'm moving on with my life. He's going to get roped in and want to help her. Or like you said, he's got maybe a little plan. He knows something. Right?
Do you think we've seen the last of Brady?
No, nope.
I don't think so either.
No. And then, okay, so the Byron stuff, let's talk. There's a lot that people have said about Byron. What did you want to say about it?
I agree. I think Byron is a big player in whatever the ultimate story is here. I just saw something go across and I didn't see who I should have marked it. But it was a great theory. It was about Byron being a player in the whole 1814 era.
Yes.
And someone said that maybe he had been time traveling and hurt his leg when he was chasing the White Witch. And that's why his leg was hurt when he came back. I think that one, you'll excuse my pun, I think that theory has legs.
And it would make sense. So he was investigating it then. That's why he would have been with the archives and the paper and back in town. And
Hmm.
I know he was there for 6 years, but he's probably didn't know when she would be popping back, and he's been looking for her,
Well,
you
there's
know.
a thing, he tore the page out of the
Yes.
almanac, or was that the almanac or newspaper?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, ripped up, there's a page ripped out of that
Yeah.
almanac. So, I'm like, I think that Byron, if not, Byron was just, like I said, a character to navigate, Dell showing us how she's not ready to move on, that kind of thing.
There's
But
too much little
yes,
detail that make no
yes,
sense whatsoever for just this little random character.
yes.
He's with the crutch. He hurt his leg, and he's quitting and or leaving to Marrakesh.
And he
I
has
mean,
the brain injuries. He had a
yeah.
wife, but now he doesn't have a wife.
Now,
And
who was that wife?
right, right. I don't know. I wonder. That's pretty cool. All
Hmm.
right. So Becky's saying if Dell had approached, we're going to jump back there for a minute. If Dell had, by the way, let me just say this. We really do have Chyler who's coming on. I honestly think that she, because of where she's located, has the wrong time frame. So I contacted her people. So hopefully she'll be able to figure that out, because there, where she is and where we are is a 3 hour difference, even though it does say Eastern time on there, but we'll figure that all out. And soon coming on, we should have
Krystle, Ferdinand.
Krystle will be coming on too. So getting back to this, Becky, if Dell had approached Kat at the funeral, or if Alice had introduced her, how would Dell not recognize her in the future? Just like, how does Dell not recognize Alice? She doesn't recognize her anyway, so I don't think that they would recognize. If she doesn't recognize one, she's not going to recognize them at all. They just don't. I guess, like, remember what in the very beginning when they talked about that, um, uh, Elliot was saying that how memories were. What did he say? Were they mercurial? What did he say?
Well, I don't know about mercurial,
No, what
but
was mercurial? I said
if
mercurial.
I'm if
Mercurial.
I'm
Oh my
I'm
God.
sitting here and I
Yeah.
have a 10-year-old son,
Mm-hmm.
and a 35-year-old man approaches me, I may think, oh, vague resemblance, but my mind can't wrap around the fact that that's my adult son. I'm not going to acknowledge that. So I don't think that's that odd.
So you're right. And I don't either, because I have had this happen to me with students. Now, I remember the one in particular that stands out to me. So he's 11, 10 and 11, and I had him for one whole 180 days of hours I'd spend. You get to know them, their mannerisms, what they like, what they don't like. You have them all day, because we didn't switch. And then about 4 years later, he came back to visit me, and I would have never known who he was. He grew like so tall. He was, not that he was overweight or anything, but he was like muscular, tall, athletic, when he was just like a little, guy when I knew him. So you don't know who, you know what I mean? You grow into someone different, and they're in their like close to 40. So things really do change. Remember they said wrinkles and hair and all that stuff. So I mean, it's believable. It's not like it's such a stretch for me. I
And
agree.
when it comes to Dell, she's a sly fox. And
Yes.
we think she knows nothing, and she's just the know nothingest woman in Catfish Row. But I don't know if I necessarily buy that entirely. I think there may come a point where it's like, well, yeah, of course, I know about the pond. Because remember when Alice first got there, she
Yeah.
warned her off that you don't want to go in that pond. That's nasty. You don't want to go there. So I think Dell might know what goes on, and she's just keeping a tight lip about it.
There's a possibility. I had this really, and this is me stretching it only because there were so many red herrings in it, but there's this, that when it's New Year's Eve and she's all dressed up and he's not, and Dell says to her husband, "You're not going? We always go." And he's like, "No, I'm not going." And she's like, "But we have to go. We should go." And I'm like, "Really? Go where?" They never say the party or the name or what it is. Maybe there's something that happens in that town on New Year's Eve. We don't know. Maybe because they reference the moon and all the things that were happening. So maybe she's very much aware of what goes on, to some degree. And it must be something that's different, because it even affects a dog that's there. And And I remember when Kat did the article and the gentleman was talking about the soil is different there. That's why I was able to grow that monstrous, gorgeous, what was it? It was, what was it? Was it a
Cucumber, wasn't it?
cucumber? It was cucumber, and I made a cucumber salad as a recipe for it. So there's more to it. There's just so many little things that they've laid out and they've explored. That's why I was like, I think it would be so much fun. I'm sorry, do I have a notification? I think it would be so much fun if we could get like we can meet Finn the dog, or the person who was the handler, because the shape of his white is like a star. And I was saying to Kathy, is that really his fur? How did they paint it on? Of course, with animal safe paint. Like, I'm curious about all those little things, because they really put a lot of detail into this, like all those little key pieces.
Just as an aside, I wouldn't particularly want to visit any town that's got Haven in the name, because there was another series called
Yes.
Haven that was really more extreme than this one. So
yes, I love that show. Naughty by Super. Oh, we've met Naughty by Supernatural Lux before. The film Donnie Drake Darko, yes, will tell you that the two key elements of time travel are water and metal. I believe Nick, Elliot's dad, and others are all time travelers. Oh, because of the water. There's so much on the water. The sea could be. Yeah. All right. Let's see. What do we have here? Let's see. Somebody's referencing 18. Regarding 1814, I get the feeling Byron is back in time, and I also feel he is chasing Kat somehow, maybe because they think she's a witch, but he had to go back before the pond froze. I agree. That's kind of like what you and I were saying a few minutes ago, right?
Yep. But it could be a twist. It could be because it seems like he's been set up to be assumed to be a villain. It could be he's a good guy who's, there to protect her, and so, or to do something good for the family. I don't know.
Right. Now, here's the thing about this. I agree with you, Becky. That's true. He doesn't necessarily have to be a bad guy. He might be trying to help out and protect them from something else, Byron. Back to this. I agree with you, Becky. If Dell had met Kat in 1999, Dell would have remembered her in 2023. But I can't see how she doesn't remember Alice. Well, exactly. So if she can't remember Alice, who looks exactly the same, who has not changed, and
that's the thing. Why would her mind? I mean, she may think she looks familiar, but how long is it from 1999? 20, nearly 25 years. Her mind couldn't accept that this is the person I met 25 years ago, who is the exact same age and looks exactly the same. And it's her granddaughter. There are too many weird things there that you would have to just accept to believe that.
So I heard her say, I will rescue you. I will, Jacob, I will find you. I heard her say she would rescue him. I didn't hear find you the second time. Did you?
I heard I'll be back for you.
Or okay. I will, but I think she said I will rescue, and then she said I'll be back, or whatever. I don't know. I'll have to go look at it.
I'll have to look at it with the closed captioning and see what that says.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. And the Elliot seemed curious how Kat brought back a business card from the grief counselor into the present day. That's true. Yeah, maybe that's true. That's interesting.
And it had aged, hadn't it?
Yeah. Did it?
When Dell was looking at it, it looked pretty beat up and antique-y.
Wasn't it? It wasn't because it was in the pocket. Oh, I don't know. I don't remember if that's because he always had it in his pocket. It was kind of worn anyway, or you're saying because of time it changed.
It could have. Who knows? I mean, there's still they answered some questions, but there's still a lot out there.
Yeah,
that we don't know yet.
So let's talk about this. People are saying the White Witch was Kat. Like, people don't realize it. It is. That was the whole jaw drop thing when we first met Alex, who plays young Kat. She mentioned that. Oh, there's Krystle's on, and she mentioned that. Hi, Krystle. We're gonna pop you on, add you to the stream.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Hi, Kathy. Hi, Roxanne.
Hi. So let me get that. We're just finishing up one little thing and you're going to jump in with us. So yes, Alice, it was seen. Go back and look at the last very, very, very last few seconds of the final episode and you'll see. We're talking about who the White Witch is and the revelation and the jaw dropping. We had, when we started the podcast, like we do a recap, Krystle, of each episode, we had young Kat on, 1999 Kat, Alex. And she told us that her jaw dropped because, you know, you were kind of kept out. You weren't in the loop. You didn't know, right? You got things in blocks.
True.
So we've asked this, did your jaw drop? Did your jaw? Now we're all excited because we know why the jaw would be dropping. So how are you, Krystle?
I'm good. How are you?
Okay.
I gotta tell you, we've been seeing a whole lot of debate and discussion on intimacy coordinator. Well, what is that? What do they do? And folks are looking on Wikipedia and dictionaries. And we've been trying to say it's, you know, there are different definitions of intimacy because this is Hallmark after all.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people interested in what you do. And Roxanne and I were talking about how do you even
get trained?
Where do you get the education? I've never heard of masters in intimacy coordination.
It's so funny because it is such a new job. It started mainly 2017 was the world's first intimacy coordinator. Her name's Alicia Rodas. She is American. And it kind of started after the Me Too movement, but essentially a lot of people were actors, stunt coordinators, stunt choreographers, dancers, and we all kind of have that movement training. But for training, you can train in the US. I saw there's a 16 credit course now in Chicago. People are just starting all over now to kind of figure out how's the best way to train people in this job. For myself, I trained in the States, and then Canada started having a training program. So I was able to kind of do it that way. I started right before COVID, went through COVID, and then was able to finish throughout and start working, which was amazing.
Is the goal to, well, sorry, Roxanne.
No, go ahead.
Is the goal to protect the actors? What is your role?
So our role is essentially we are a third-party advocate for performers. We kind of talk to them about their boundaries and what they consent to and what they feel comfortable with. We have conversations with the director to figure out what they want for the scene, what's the most they want with the scene, and then we'll go and talk to the actors to kind of see where their boundaries lie. And sometimes they have suggestions. Sometimes it's a hard no on certain things, and we kind of facilitate that communication between production and the directors and the other actors. Sometimes they want this actor to know something, sometimes they don't. And we kind of have to sort of dance around certain things just to protect everyone's privacy and what they're kind of telling us sometimes on their behalf. But yeah, we help with those scenes of intimacy and hyperexposure and nudity and simulated sex, and that's what we're there on set for. Just because in the past it would kind of fall to different departments, like hair and makeup would be looking after the performers in these situations. They'd kind of advocate on their behalf. And now it's great to have someone specifically doing that role for them.
So that's, go ahead, Kathy. I was going to ask.
Go.
I was just thinking, so when I do my research on my people, I see that you're also an actor and then also behind the scenes with producing. So I'm thinking now I like it that you have experience in the front of the camera and then also behind it. That makes sense. You can see it from both sides. So that must help out a lot. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Yes.
No, it completely does. And I think it's just with what the directors want. Sometimes directors, and when they give their notes, I'm able to kind of tune in specifically to what they're actually asking from the performer, because there's so much going on. They're focusing on so many things, and it's able to kind of help them with if they want a slight tweak to make this kiss, for instance, look more passionate, but not, it's also a goodbye kiss. So it's just the context behind. We had a lot of goodbye kisses on the way home. So it's heartbreaking and It was, everything meant something so different with each director. So it was kind of great to work with cast and like the showrunners to kind of like get that story across, because we're all just storytellers, really.
This is true. So how did you even come about getting to be part of The Way Home?
So it was funny because I was at Toronto International Film Festival. It would have been September, and I was there for another film I had intimacy coordinated on. I am based in Toronto. And I was there for that, and I was supposed to be flying to LA for a workshop the following week. And then one of the production manager from the show reached out to me, and she's like, "Are you available to come out for this scene? It's in like 2 days." And I was like, "Okay, I can come out because it's before I fly." And then they asked me, they're like, "Oh, can you come on tomorrow and can you do the rest of the show?" And I was like, "Okay, I'm going to be away for this chunk, but I'll be able to come back and do this show." So it was actually really great because everyone was so nice. And I know you'll hear that a lot about this show, but it was like really humbled, like down to earth cast and crew. Like and I feel like it started from the top with the cast and the showrunners. Like everyone was really like so happy to be a part of this, to be a part of this Hallmark show. And it was kind of exciting to be a part. And we're like all very like engrossed in the story.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
So
do you, is what you do involved only with scenes that involve skinship, where a couple of
No.
people, can it be like meaningful looks and, what does it all?
That's the interesting thing about a kiss, for instance. It's like sometimes you have the kiss and it means a lot, but a lot of it's all that leading up to it. Those looks, like sometimes it's like just brushing the hair aside or just like embracing someone. There's a lot that can be told in the story just for that. There are instances where even the cast were like, "I think they wouldn't kiss here. It would be too early." And they'd suggest that. And we'd kind of work with the showrunners and the writers. And it was like such a collaborative experience to be able to do that. But yeah, a lot of it can just be like little touches and like the build up to those kisses. That's a really important aspect.
So someone had pointed out, and this is true, Chyler, she had to kiss 3 different actors.
She brought it up to me. She's like, "I'm kissing another one, Krystle." I'm like, "Yes."
And they were all different kisses, of course. Like she had that desperate kiss with the veterinarian. And
Yeah, Dr. Alex.
Yes. And then she had that, oh my gosh, it was a desperate kiss again, but it was like they knew each other for so long with,
With Brady.
And then the first time that she and Elliot kissed, people are making comments, and this is true. This is true. Laura says Elliot and Kat was the best kiss scene on Hallmark ever because they're very, I
agree.
Well, he waited so long. He waited so long for that kiss.
I'll tell you about working on that scene. It was like, it was funny because we were rushing. We were trying to race against the sun for that scene. And it worked out so magically. It was one of those like truly like movie magic moments where there was so much anticipation for it. And like when they actually kissed, we were watching behind the monitors and people started clapping and screaming. And I've never had that before. It's like, we're still filming, but it was like everyone was so excited. And I was talking to Evan about it, who plays Elliot, and he was just like, he's like, "You can see how invested everyone is, the fact they were cheering." He's like, "It's so cool that's happening." And I'm like, yeah,
it was.
really
It's exciting. What was your because you did quite a few scenes. What was your favorite scene?
That was my favorite scene, hands down. I know it's bad because there were so many good ones, but it was really magical. They have such good chemistry, and like just even all the scenes like building up and to those little moments shared between them, and they were so comfortable with each other by that point. It's just their chemistry was flying off the pages. It's just like it was completely magical.
Well, then go ahead.
What are the special challenges? I'm assuming there may be some special challenges when you're coordinating a scene with a minor.
I was just going to talk about
Sadie and I'm blanking on young Nick.
Sam.
All of the performers except one were over 18.
Yes.
So that was good. I think just one we kind of had to talk to about it, and she was 17. But she was very comfortable going through it, and she was like so appreciative of having that conversation. The directors were very like very protective, and so were the showrunners. They were just like, we have so many young performers, just like even wanting me around sometimes if
Mhm.
they wanted to ask questions, which they did. They're like, I have little questions if like I touch this person here, or can I do this? And I'm like, let's just go quickly have a conversation with them, and you can like say what you want and where you feel comfortable being touched, and the same thing for them. Sometimes it's just really having that talk and like hearing that verbal consent from the other person that kind of gives them that okay to feel comfortable. People just really like to hear it sometimes, which absolutely makes sense.
Mhm.
That's true. And I was thinking about Sam and Sadie.
So
They had some
yeah,
good kisses. And it
they
made
did.
their relationship was so cute that people were hoping. Can you see the comments on the side? Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know. It's
People
so
were,
funny because a small part of me was hoping it too,
yeah.
but I understand why it could never.
No, like, no.
But I was like, because you meet Sam, and it's just like he's so charming, he's so funny, and you're rooting for these two characters, and it's just like, can they make it work? And it's like, no.
I know, of
I,
course
I
they
like,
can't. And I love how Elliot addresses that with Alice. It's hilarious when they're at school because the
yeah.
words that she says to him, he's like looking around. People would get the wrong idea. I'm a teacher, so I could imagine hearing something like that. He's like opening the door. I'm opening the door. Did you have
Yeah.
were you working on any of those type of scenes? Like what would be appropriate and inappropriate having that conversation between like an adult and a young girl? Did you, or does that was all the director?
That was more the director, to be quite honest. Which is a good point that you brought up. It's like they felt comfortable enough. It's funny because I came onto the show starting at episode 3. And then I went through to the end of the season to
Okay.
episode 10. So it was kind of curious because I was kind of learning about the White Witch along with everyone else when I watched the pilot, and I'm like, okay, I see. And watching all the like conspiracy, like the
Yeah.
theories, sort of
Yeah.
was like, wow, a lot of you are really like on the money.
Mhm,
So it was
mhm.
kind of funny to read through and see what was going to happen. But I was like, some of these guesses are pretty good. I'm glad I'm not being interviewed earlier.
Yeah, we
Because
would not make you do any
We
spoilers.
don't try
no,
spoilers. Yeah.
No.
that's
Laura says it is so nice now that the actors' feelings are considered in these romantic moments. Was it different in the movies in the past?
see, it's one of the things is people didn't really talk about it the same way. A few things would happen where sometimes the actors were just asked to go figure it out, and maybe you would just meet that actor this day and you didn't have that like repertoire yet, and
Mhm.
it was kind of awkward. So in the past, it was a little bit different. Now there's more of a conversation and more people are communicating about it. And people are kind of taking that care, even with some of the cast on this set. Like I saw them like checking in with being like, is it okay if I like put my arm around your waist and kind of go in this way for a kiss? And they're like, yeah, I'm comfortable. Or actually, I'm ticklish here. Can you try the other way? And it's just like having those little conversations because sometimes people would just try before and see what happens. Um, but it allows actors to feel more safe, knowing that they talked about it and the other person they're doing the scene with feels safe as well. And it just allows that to be out of their mind and just be in the moment together, which is really special.
I
Well,
remember reading an interview with Debbie Reynolds about that
oh,
wholesome movie Singing in the Rain. And she
yes.
said she had a kissing scene with Gene Kelly and he stuck his tongue in her mouth. And she was like
Yes.
totally grossed out, speaking to the question about, was there a
And that
difference in
that
the movie?
does happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes actors sometimes actors don't think like, oh, I can like recoil my tongue, but that's not how I actually do that naturally. But absolutely you can. So we do have those talks. Sometimes the directors want it. Sometimes they were like, we won't really see it. We don't need it. but we literally talk about all that in pre-production with like the actors, and sometimes they'll be like, I'm not comfortable with that, and then we'll pivot and we'll change it.
That's great.
This is an interesting question that Catherine has up. I had seen it and then I flagged it for you. It says, Krystle, how do you deal with cultural boundaries? So go ahead.
I actually have done this because everyone's boundaries are different depending on cultures. I've had this where I've worked with some performers and they're like, based on my religion and my background, I cannot show a non-screen kiss because if my family sees it, then it'll be like a sign of disrespect, for instance. So, but they still wanted to do this role, and we would just have to cheat it with kind of like the camera, where the camera's positioned and how they kind of go in. And we couldn't shoot it from certain angles as well. So that was their boundary essentially, but it does come up.
Wow. Okay. I mean, there's a lot. There's so much in this, like so many little details and parts and pieces that we don't realize it. And then when we see it as a viewer, it's like effortlessly done.
And it's all romantic and
right.
It's so romantic. Yeah.
It's probably even because the kisses were fabulous. They were not like the whole chemistry of everybody was not fake, but this is why. It's because so much was done beforehand that they felt comfortable as actors. So for us, it comes across the screen as like perfect. So
now whenever I see Kat and Elliot kissing, I'm going to picture Krystle like right behind the camera going.
Do you know what else I find interesting is that when I'm going to have guests on or I'm going to do recaps and have different people on, I go on to the database. That's the professional one. It's not the one everyone has access to. You got to be a member. You get in. Never have I seen anything, especially for Hallmark, but in movies in general, never have I seen all of the credits and the things they have listed for this show. And as I was going through, and that's what I was like, oh my gosh, they have an intimacy coordinator. And we were just talking about how intimate some of these scenes were, especially for Hallmark. This is perfect. We want to hear and learn about it. They had credits even down to who the people were that took care of COVID issues.
They were very sweet with that because not all productions do that. And it was so nice that they included everyone. The show was honestly from the showrunners, Alex, Heather, and Marley. They were so great at including everyone and being so collaborative. And everyone, that's the thing. It kind of starts with them and the cast and just being very supportive and wanting everyone to do their best work. And everyone was so invested in this show. And I really applaud them for that because I've worked on so many productions and it was just not. It was such a family, I think, at the end of the day.
Oh, that's nice.
Are there intimacy coordinators on other, no disrespect, but what I consider like more of the run-of-the-mill Hallmark movies?
I'm honestly not sure. That's a really good question. It's becoming more prevalent in the industry, and it's really nice to see people seeing like the benefit of having them. And I've had like some performers come to me and be like, can you be here on my first day when I meet this other actor? They're just like, I'm uncertain how they feel about me. And they're like, I don't want to do anything offensive. And can we just like have a conversation? Like they were playing a couple that was married for 20 years. They're just like, I want to make sure like I can like give them a kiss on the cheek or like pull them in and not like be like crossing any lines. They're like, can you be there? And I'm like, sure, we can definitely do that. What you need to kind of continue on and do your best work as well, right? Yeah,
that makes sense. That's good. This was interesting. The moms kissing was a new thing for Hallmark, and it was done very well. That's what Arlene was saying. Sam, not Sam, I'm sorry, I was calling Sam. Nick has his two moms, and that whole they're very touchy-feely laughing, especially when they were younger, and they were laughing when they saw that they were on a date and how like right away they were all cutesy together. And that was a good job. Did you help with that too?
For them, I just had a conversation because it was supposed to be like a brief kiss. And I'll check with performers if they feel like they need someone there on the day, and they're like, no, we got this. And I'm like, okay, great. Yeah.
Now, these are just some comments from
No
our viewers. An intimacy coordinator is literally performing the love dance, making it beautiful for the viewers, which is true. Yeah.
That is true.
It's
And
like
they have,
you're like a choreographer.
yes, yes. Now,
We are like movement coaches. Like sometimes, like just to make something look great on screen, we'll like tweak it because it's like sometimes it doesn't look right. And we kind of know where the performers, what their comfort is, and they just want to hear those little notes to be like, okay, I'm blocking too much of this person's face with my head, or it's like, let me like sink in with my body more to see me relaxing and really embracing them. We'll do little notes like that for a kiss.
it's all for just a kiss, but it works.
Yeah.
Barbara says, have you ever had someone else stand in for a kiss? Like where you could only see the back of their head or something?
I have not. I've
Mm.
not had them stand in because, especially if it was the back of the head, then you could use the performers if they're not actually doing the kiss as
Yes.
well.
I've heard of 2 actors who refuse to do kissing scenes or any kind of intimate scenes on camera.
It depends on what, and then we would try and get into the specifics of what they were comfortable with. It's like, are you okay with like holding hands or kind of hugging each other or just like leaning on each other? One thing that was really beautiful about The Way Home is Chyler, his cat, she only wanted to like lean on Evan's shoulder, and that was reserved specifically for him. That little moment, I didn't want this with Brady. This is just for me and him. And I love that she had that specific thing reserved just for him.
Yes.
Um,
Yes, we noticed it too. That's cute.
it was so cute because I think another director asked, and she's like, "This is just me and Evan's thing," and I was like, "I love that."
I love that. Cindy said, did you have to help at all when Colton visited Dell in her dream and her memory and they danced?
Honestly, with Colton and Dell, they were very confident together for those scenes. They had such a great chemistry and comfort with each other. They were just like completely got this. I was like, and I always check in and they're like very comfortable together. So I actually wasn't there for that one.
Oh, okay. They're saying all the Elliot shoulder thing was so precious.
Mhm.
It was so cute.
Now, have you worked on, and maybe we asked this and I'm sorry if we did because I'm looking at my notes and I'm thinking, have you worked on any other Hallmark shows or movies?
Not any other Hallmark shows or movies, which is funny because it's very busy in Canada with
Hmm.
Hallmark productions. A lot of them are more north. I'm just outside of Toronto,
Right.
which is like in the Pickering area, which is coincidentally where we filmed a lot of the scenes for The Way Home. It was kind of a secret because I tell people I'm from Toronto, but I was luckily in the exact location where we filmed the scenes, which is outside Toronto. It's very suburban, especially when you go north. That's where like the farm is. So
Hmm.
it worked out really well for me. I was
Okay.
spoiled.
Good, good. And now they have a season 2, so I hope you're back for season
Season
2.
2.
That is so
We
exciting.
just hope you're back for season 2 for Kat and Elliot scenes. Not looking for spoilers, but they kind of threw us
I
for a loop
have
in that
I
last
know. I
episode.
have no idea what's going to happen, which is really great. I don't know if anyone does. I was seeing Sadie talking last night and she's like, I don't know what's going to happen in season 2, so I can't spoil
Right,
anything.
right, right. Yeah, and well, you didn't even know when they were doing their table reads. They were only getting stuff in those blocks like 2
Yeah, we
episodes
did get
ahead.
2 scripts at a time. You're right.
Yeah, so this
Yeah.
is wonderful. So what about your acting? Is there anything that we could, because people once they get to meet you fall in love, is there anything we can go look up or find you in, or even if you wanted to tell us some other movies that you worked on and you could be like, I did that scene, we'd like to go look. You have any
Oh, that's
suggestions
funny.
for us?
I'm trying to remember. I did an episode of DC Titans, which I believe plays in a different network than
Mhm.
in Canada. In Canada, it'll end up on Netflix, but I think it was on HBO Max.
Okay.
And then, um, what else do I have? I have something coming out from What We Do in the Shadows. I acted in that this year, so that will be airing later.
What
Um,
We Do in the Shadows.
yes,
I'm
that's an
gonna put that
FX
in the chat.
show.
Okay, cool.
So that will be out sometime this year as well. And yes, a few things coming down the pipeline. I just have no idea the air dates of anything.
It's okay.
We'll
We'll
keep an
be on
eye
the
out.
lookout for you. And we can
Okay.
follow you on Instagram.
Yes,
It's your name, right? It's straight up your name, I think, because
that's
I
my
follow.
name.
Yeah, so we'll look and see if you post anything there to, um, you know, keep up with you. I'm so
Definitely.
excited that
I
you
know,
two.
I love these recaps. Now I have to tune into Roxanne and Kathy's recaps.
Yes, we started them from episode 1, and then we're gonna do next week too for Canada. So, because they're
That's
one,
great.
yeah,
I know. I feel so bad for the Canadians because I see the comments. They're like, we didn't know this is happening.
I
And I'm
know.
like, yeah, we're behind.
Now, this is funny. Gary is saying, and you can't speak to this because you don't know, but he's just fooling around. He's saying Allison Spencer will need your help next because the way they,
So funny.
yeah, towards the end, kind of were, remember, because
I
she's,
feel bad for Zoe. I'm
yes,
sorry.
Zoe looks and says, "You made her dinner, what?" And then Allison's
Yeah.
like, "I thought you kind of knew," and he's like, "Oh, I gotta go."
It
So
was funny. Katam talked to me at
cute.
the rat party, and he was like actually a little bit nervous, and he's like, oh well, he's like, I had so many questions for you. I'm like, you can always come out to me and ask me questions. So it's like, I guess we'll all see where it kind of lands with them.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
excited.
He's a nice guy. He was one of our guests also, and I've loved him when he was on Heartland. He was a cutie on
Oh,
that too. So I was so happy that I get to see him now. He's more mature and grown up and like 100 feet tall. I mean, goodness
he's so
gracious, he's
tall.
a tall boy, you know. So I just think his mother. Oh, I loved. We had Samara on. Oh my God, she was amazing, right? So she's tall, and I'm thinking whoever they decide Spilsky is, he better be a tall guy too, because we haven't really met adult Spilsky yet. So we've got a lot of good things to look
That's
forward
true.
to.
It's funny. Samora's one of the good friends of mine. She's also been a mentor to me. So it was so funny when she was working
Oh,
on the show and we were working together.
oh, that's nice. So you didn't realize that the two of you were go. Oh, that's
I
what.
didn't.
Oh, that's nice. And we loved having her on, didn't we, Kathy?
She's amazing. Yeah.
She was vibrant. She shared all kinds of goodies. And I was telling her that her character has the best clothes on that show. She's got
Yeah.
the best outfits. And
She
then
does.
someone asked if she took anything. She goes, "Well, that would be stealing."
So I'm
You
going to
have to
submit to
ask
the
some more. Some more you have to ask next time.
Yeah.
this has been so cool. And now I'm thinking when I rewatch season 1, which we all know I'm going to do, when I rewatch it and see these scenes that I love, especially Kat and Elliot, I'm going to have to remember that a good deal of that chemistry is due to you.
No, they had great chemistry, I
Well, I know they
promise.
do, but you're
I
working
know.
with them to
But you orchestrated
maximize
it
the
for us.
scenes. Yeah.
You're like the little. I was trying to think of a verb. Remember, I had even asked. I was like, "What's the verb? Like, what do you
We
direct or do you orchestrate?
we
What is
Coordinate.
it?"
He coordinates.
We do say coordinate, and it is different in theater. They call them intimacy directors in theater, so I felt like I should have clarified for you because they are called that depending what
Okay.
medium you work in. Yeah.
All right. So
Well,
it would be directing if it were theater, but because it's television or a movie, it's coordinate, right? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, we're learning the
I don't
lingo.
want any directors mad at me.
I live
Coordinate.
about 40 minutes outside of Chicago, so I'm going to have to check into these certification programs. So,
I
Oh,
know.
is there an age limit on
Absolutely
breaking into
not.
the intimacy coordination business? Because
I want you to do
No.
it, Kathy. Do
You should
it.
totally do it.
Oh my God. You know
I
what? I'm
can
gonna
see
have to
it.
retire from
Colton,
teaching.
let me show you what I mean.
I don't
That's
know,
so
Kathy.
funny.
Maybe you shouldn't do it. No.
You're right. Once
Oh
again,
gosh.
those pesky cease and desist.
Very charming.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
thank you
Colton
so
was
much.
very charming.
Thank you so much for joining us. Before you go,
Yeah,
just want to
thank
give
you for having me, both of
yes,
you.
you'll have to come back. So Kay Smith says, you are delightful and thank you for sharing so much with us.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you, Kay. Yeah,
this
thank you for having me, both of you. I will definitely be tuning in to watch
good.
more of both of you.
All right. Thank you
Terrific.
so
Thank
much.
you.
You
Take
too.
care.
Bye.
Bye. Bye-bye. Okay. I am like, I'm sad because there's no Chyler. Where is she? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I'm sad too, but
So I'm looking at, I just contacted her person and I'm like, hi, just making sure Chyler's joining us. I really have a feeling that she's thinking her time, her time zone, which is 8 and not ours. And we will not be around for that because that will be like 11 o'clock tonight. So,
well, we can always hop back on at 11 and
that's true. We can always ask her for next week too and see what happens with that.
yeah.
I am sorry. I mean, we wouldn't do false advertisement. All right. So where are we with our wrap up of this? Where did we leave off? Did we leave out
Well,
anything? First of all, Krystle was wonderful and we learned so much.
yeah.
And it's so great to see how behind the scenes makes a huge impact. It's just not the actors. Like if you're so comfortable and you feel like it's easier to be in the moment, this is why we're loving it so much, you know?
It's a testament to their acting that we can look at Kat and Elliot sharing their first kiss and we're like puddles of goo because it's so romantic. When in reality, they are going through, no, I need your head at a, 50-degree angle and I need you here so the sun hits and, she doesn't like to be touched there. So put your hand here. There's so much mechanical stuff that goes into it. And yet it comes off as, oh my gosh, they're made for each other. That's what you call acting, and directing, and coordinating, and
it's teamwork.
Teamwork, yeah.
Teamwork makes the dream work. All right, Gary's like, she's in 1999 again. Who says she's stuck in 1814? She's in the pond. And I want to ask her. We have all these fabulous questions we need to ask her. I'm so sad. Oh goodness, let's look
she's
at
being chased by a witch hunter. Brian said that she's being chased by a witch hunter. See, I kind of have this theory that I don't know for a fact, obviously, but that Byron is either maybe he'll turn out to be a good guy, but he also may turn out to be like the main witch hunter in 1814.
Sorry, I'm trying to get my okay, I'm listening to what you're saying. I'm trying to get the yelling, I'm sorry, our final blow up scene and get everyone to share with that. And I can't seem to like move down with the slides. Where are they? All right, move up. So we're going to pick a time. Oh, and look, that's Bridgerton. I'm having technical difficulties. Sorry. Oh, look, now I'm adding something else. It's going to skip it. I'm going to do it this way because I can't find it. It's really driving me insane. What's it say? Episode 1.
Did you notice that there was also a callback to the first episode when Alice came out to sing her song and she looked in the audience and Brady wasn't there and she was kind of, but then he showed up and that made her happy. So that made me happy that she felt that good. But I did love that Elliot was on the other side of her.
I know. And she said, can you hold me? I want you to be here to hold me. He really didn't hold her or hold her hand. Did you see that?
Like, yeah, I think he was already, starting his pullback.
He was already pulling back from her. That's not it either. All right. Well, listen, folks, I'm giving up trying to use that. I'm done with it. All right, so I'm going to do it this way, and we have to, and he wasn't on his phone. The first episode, it was Kat and who wasn't there. That's right. You're right. Kat wasn't there and he was. Okay, so it's 9:10. So at 9:13, 13 after the hour. So wherever you are, if it's 7:13, 8:13, 9:13, whatever it is, but when it's 13 after the hour, I want you to put in the comments our last blow up, and this one will not make us laugh and come up with ridiculous things. Okay. It's just not going to do it.
The other thing that I took away from this episode, and I was just looking at Adventures with Lily's comment. She said, we didn't talk about the song Alice sang and Dell's reaction.
You will. Go ahead. Keep going. I just want to hold that up.
And I was impressed, not just with, Dell's reaction was extremely touching, but I love how we also came full circle with the first episode. If you'll remember, Dell was like totally hostile, especially to Kat. And it's like, what are you guys doing here? I didn't mail a letter, blah, blah. She's just been very curmudgeonly, and kind of slowly in the last few episodes, she's been warming up. But this was like the culmination of it. You know, when they were the three of them were sitting at the kitchen table, and she said, "You two are my grief counseling group." And it was just, you know, you could feel the love. I mean, it's like they're a trio. And I'm just hoping that they maintain that. And in season 2, we see them tackling issues and mysteries together. And that they're, and then that sly little thing about Kat telling her, "Well, I'm just glad you sent the letter." I did not send the letter. I promise you I didn't. And Alice is just kind of like, okay, I'm gonna go, you know, get another cup of tea or something, because she knew she had done it. It was a good ending. And I think if they had not been renewed, they may have cut it off. I don't think they would have had a scene with Kat and Elliot breaking up. And I don't think they would have shown that epilogue with the White Witch. Because if you think about it, they could have ended with Dell being there for her concert that wraps up from the first episode, and the three women getting together. And they might have had another scene of Kat and Elliot, you know, riding off into the sunset and being happy. But I can see where they could have reworked that episode to be,
if they had to.
If they had not had a season 2, yeah.
I'm pretty sure they went in knowing that they had a season 2.
You never know. You know,
Sure,
Blue Bloods, they had to take salary cuts to get their next season. So I don't take anything for granted anymore.
All right, now let's look. I wanted to, there was somebody said something, and it's about Kat's hair. People are fascinated.
1814.
Do you think Kat's hair is that long, or do you think she wore a wig to blend into the 1800s? Oh, definitely a wig. That was definitely a wig. Oh, you mean when she goes back in time, does she put on a wig to blend in? Oh, I don't know. I think she's there for a while. I think that, I don't know. I think she's an old soul, Kat. Do you know what I mean?
I wouldn't mind her being there for a while, which would require somebody to try to get back to her and check her, you know, see if she needs help or what's going on with her.
Okay.
And if anyone could figure out a way to do that, it would be Elliot.
True. That's true. We didn't talk about the song Alice sang and Dell's reaction. You know what else we didn't talk about? Maybe her hair was always long and she cut it when she comes. I don't know. I have no idea about that. The hair. I don't know. They'll have to figure out the hair for us. We didn't talk about the song Alice sang and Dell's reaction. You said that, right? Like you had brought that up. What about the songs? All the songs. I think people realize that Evan Williams made a song and they put it, and he was all over social media saying thank you. And it was in the background in the last episode, which is very nice. And I thought someone had mentioned, sent a thing back to me. So
what are you looking for the?
Oh, he did respond. Hold on. He says, we unfortunately need to reschedule this. Apologies for the last minute change. Can you please send your next upcoming availables? Thank you. Okay. That's what he just did it 3 minutes ago. And he did respond. Sure. Yes, we will. I don't know if people realize that that was his song. And then we also had, I just love that the Roxy is available now, and people can, like, they have so many of them with beautiful voices that they could do karaoke night, and it showed off Chyler's voice, right? And then they can do performance nights, and that's how we get to see Sadie sing. Sam can sing. Who else can sing? Well, Evan. Hopefully Evan will be singing too. I thought that was cool. And it's funny, the person who sang often, and it was a voiceover, was Grandpa Honky. That was not his voice. We'll have to have him on. What were you thinking, Kathy? You're looking at something. What are you looking at?
I can't believe that wasn't his voice. I didn't know that. I thought he had that talent.
You did?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I'm just going to assume you are.
Okay. Pon made her hair grow really fast. I love that. Okay. That's his cover of Time After Time playing behind the breakup scene. Yes, yes, it was. And you can actually stream it and we can find it. It's linked on our Facebook page. It's linked on his social media. Let's see. I think she's there a while. That this is why Elliot broke it off with her to save his heart for waiting for her. Oh.
Yeah. He'll wait for her till hell freezes over or the pond, whichever comes first.
And Donna says
could she go into the pond? And the reason she's there so long is because that pond freezes over.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she can't get back, so she's just stuck there.
I know. And when she runs over and says, I just saw, I know, like her mother looks at her and she goes, I know where he is. And she goes running to see, see where he went. I'm wondering why he never got to come back. I can't wait to hear that whole mystery behind why he never comes back, or me. I don't know. I'm just so excited to see it. And yes, we need a Kat and Alice duet. And the crash scene broke my heart. I know. Yes, I know. It was so well done. One of the things we want to talk about when Chyler comes on was just her physical reaction to that crash scene when they are pulling her out of that water, which I know was probably cold, but like her body shook, I cannot wait to see what she has to say. Arlene, is there any link to the Alice in Wonderland story, or is it a diversion? The color blue everywhere, the book, the cards, they have some explaining to do next season. This is true, but you know what? It's also, yes, but it's also a love of, when you love something, you would have playing cards that look like that. You'd have them around. So there was an obsession that young Kat had with Alice in Wonderland. She had the book out. It had a lot of meaning to her. It's why she named her daughter that. The playing cards, the calendar, they went all out with it. And that's true. I think that would be cool if we find out more about it. But it doesn't necessarily have to have such a huge meaning. What do you think?
That would be one huge red herring or series of red herrings.
So you do think it has some big meaning?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So for this season, we didn't really get to figure out what the meaning exactly was, except for the quote that says how you're not who you are, like how you used to be, and she underlines it.
We didn't get a payoff for all who wander are not lost.
Yes.
Except at the end when she said, I think I know where Jacob is, but that hasn't been fully paid off.
Yeah.
So we'll see that next season.
So he's not lost, meaning that he is where he needs to be, right?
Well, he's wandering. He's
right. Wherever he needs to be.
I don't think he's where he needs to be. He's where the pond may want him to go. He needs to be with his family.
Yeah. Mickey's Minnie says Elliot is, it's really Minnie. Elliot is the Cheshire Cat. The dog's name is Finn. Fish have fins. Finn is like a fish because he's always in the water. Could be. These are questions that we need to ask the showrunners, but they're always so busy. But wouldn't it be great if we could just get them to come on and pick their brains a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm late for a very important date. Finn is short for infinity. Oh, we're all thinking outside the box. Gold star for you. Okay, so who are our 913 peeps, right? Is that what I said, 913?
Mm-hmm.
Anybody at 913?
13 after the hour.
Yeah, that's it. 13 after the hour. On my end, it shows up as 913. I'm looking. I see Lillian. Do you see Lillian?
I'm scrolling here. I'm almost there.
Scarlett was 912, but
I see Lillian. Yep.
All right. You got to put Lillian's name down. All right. And then what we were going to do is we're going to let our Canadian friends have a chance next week. And then we're going to put everybody's name in the dial and dial it around and see who wins.
And you guys are free to come back next week too.
Yes, because we do have more guests coming on. And then Chyler they said they had to reschedule. I have to give them more time. So I'm like, okay, yes, we will. We will let you know. Zach just contacted me. All right. This has been a really
wild ride.
Yes. Yes, it has.
It's been a crazy 10 weeks, that's for sure.
Those of you that are on the fan page, just because the show's, coming to an end doesn't mean we're not going to put some good stuff on there. We will. Does anybody have a request for anything? We're going to have a trivia night. Would you be interested in a trivia night? That would be fun.
The Way Out trivia night.
The Way Out.
Oh, The Way Home. Gee.
The Way Home. Okay.
I must be getting tired.
I know. Anybody interested in a trivia night? Huh? Love this. This was a great night. Thank you. We know there's a little delay. What else, Kathy? What did you want to say?
Brian.
What did he say?
I'm gonna put it on here. Oh, well, you did it first, didn't you?
Brian, I'm going to make this public. Wait a minute, Brian. Hold on. Let me come up to this. Let me get this. Here we go. Are you doing recaps for Ride? You and Kathy could wear cowboy hats. Kathy cannot commit to it, right, Kathy?
Right.
But I was considering doing it myself on Wednesdays. I got a bit of a dilemma about it, not to make it super public, but I do have a dilemma, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure, Brian. Let me say that. I love Hallmark. I support all that they have out there, all of it. But I don't know. Yes, trivia. They like trivia. So, Kathy, I wanted to have some people on. Brian's done this with me before. I would like to have someone come on and do a review of the series, like what they thought, that kind of thing, other than us. Like they would be our guest, and everybody knows what we have to say, and we would listen to their perspective. And I think it would be really cool if we had more than one person come on, and we had like two as a little panel, and we got to talk about it. I think that would be a nice night too. Like one night have a review, another night have a trivia night. I think it would be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. I could not concentrate on Ride. Okay, we're not going to talk about Ride. We're still connected in the Way Home. All right. What do you want to say?
It's been crazy.
It has, but we still.
Now I look forward to watching the whole series again, knowing what I know now about the last episode.
Yes, and we'll be back next Monday and recapping with our Canadian friends and bringing along guests. I do have people in mind and lined up, but also think about, you can always contact us, message us on our Facebook page, go into Messenger, and we'll find it. And if you have some good ideas, definitely would love it. You want a Spotify list of all the songs. I think who just posted that, because I really do. Dana, I'm not sure how you say it. If you're on our Facebook page, it's there. Somebody posted it. Someone posted that they all the list of the song, like the soundtrack. Yeah.
We talked about that, Arlene. I think it'd be fun just to piggyback on Roxanne's idea about having someone review. I think it'd be great to have a young adult, like a teen rather, around Alice's age, and then someone around Kat's age and someone around Dell's age, and have them on and talk about the show and their reactions from their perspective. I'd love to go that way.
We wanted that. I had put a post out, and I had said, and if you have anyone if you have a generational thing going on, even if it's a mother-daughter, or if it's like, just a gap of like tween to our age and older, that would be great. We would love for you to come on and talk about it, like as a family, even if it's, friends, whatever it is. That would be great to see all the different perspectives. I think that would be fun.
And if there's a guy who wants to offer, represent Elliot's perspective, we're good with that too.
Oh, dear Lord.
Well, yeah, we are.
I know.
We're not prejudiced against the male viewers.
No, I didn't mean it that way. I could be son, father, mixed. It didn't matter, age, whatever. I thought you were saying Elliot, like because you want Elliot to come on kind of thing. I thought that's
No, well, yeah, I'd love Evan to come on, but you know, if we're talking about having representative viewers or viewers represent, you know, the different perspectives,
sure.
Elliot's
And
a key player in that.
now Brian, it's Brian and another gentleman. I had two guys on before who did like the review with me. So yeah, whatever we got out there will be great. Cindy, you're correct. That's right. It's on the Hallmark website and you could get it. Yep. That would be good. Oh, Christina, your daughter, and she watches it with you. That's true, Christina. The two of you could come on. Come on. We got two different age groups there. That would be fun to see from their different perspectives. Okay. We'll talk. Anybody message us and we'll talk.
Mhm.
We'll talk. Who would do the reviews? Viewers like us? Yes, that's what we're looking for. Laura, yes, we're opening it up to you. You're the reviewer. You're doing the reviewers. I don't care what anybody else has to say. I want to know what the dedicated fans have to say. Yes, Laura. So if you've got, I see little pictures, you and some cuties with you. I mean, I don't know who watches it with you. If anybody does, it would be great. All right. Well, it is time, to say goodnight. Right, Kathy?
It is.
Yeah,
and now I want to sing the Carol Burnett song.
Oh my gosh. And next week you could tune in. We have more to say and we'll have our other guests on. All right. Good night.
Good night, all. Thank you for being here.
Good night.